Welcome everyone, my name is Mustafa, or otherwise known as Chris, and I almost struggled to say otherwise then. Anyway, welcome to Dogfights, the series in which we put two aircraft from War Thunder up against each other to see which one is the best. Now today, from the American Air Force, we've got the F4U-1a Corsair. And then, coming all the way from the British Air Force, we've got the Eurofighter? No, that's a bit of a modern plane. We've got the Hawker Typhoon Mk 1a. Alright, so let's compare these two aircraft. Now I compare aircraft differently depending on what class they are. Obviously today we're dealing with fighters, but I will add if they were bombers or attackers, I would compare them differently to each other as well. Now with fighters I compare them on 5 different standpoints, and after I've done this comparison I'll give a score to each, and then I'm going to go in and talk about some recommendations on what you should do with these aircraft to make them better, and talk about some stuff that the statistics don't generally show, and it's very important on how to use these aircraft. So here we go. Now on the 5 things I compare them is their weapons, their top speed, their turn time, their rate of climb, and their 1 second burst mass. So here we go. Now in terms of weapons, the F4U Corsair has 6 12.7mm Browning machine guns with 2,350 rounds of ammunition, whereas the Typhoon Mk 1a has got 12 7.7mm Browning machine guns with 3,600 rounds of ammunition. Now in terms of top speed, the F4U Corsair has 670 km an hour as a top speed, whereas the Typhoon has got 655 km an hour as a top speed. Now in terms of the turn time, now I will add my turn time is different to the one that Gaijin has in War Thunder. They measure their turn time on what's known as a flat turn, which is where you keep your aircraft level with the horizon and then hold Q or E until you've done a full circle turn. Whereas what I'm measuring is when you roll your aircraft on its side and then pull up or push up, obviously with the mouse, and then do a full circle turn like that. So here we go. For the F4U Corsair, I measured the turn time to be 11 seconds. Whereas on the Typhoon I measured it to be 12 seconds, so obviously a little bit faster on the Corsair there. Now in terms of rate of climb, the Corsair has a rate of climb of 12 meters per second, whereas the Typhoon's got a rate of climb of 26 meters per second. Now in terms of 1 second burst mass, now if you don't know what that is, essentially if you was to fire your weapons at another aircraft with 100% accuracy for 1 second, it's the weight measured that is added onto the enemy aircraft. Now on the F4U Corsair it's got a 1 second burst mass of 3.23 kilograms per second, whereas on the Typhoon it's got a 1 second burst mass of 1.98 kilograms per second. Alright, so as you can see there, the Corsair wins over the Typhoon 4-1, which is quite significant. However, like I said earlier, there are things that the stats don't show that are very important for an aircraft to have, which I'm going to discuss in a second. But first I want to discuss one of the points in which I've given a point to the Corsair for, which you may be wondering about. So obviously the Corsair's got 6 12.7mm machine guns, and the Typhoon's got 12 7.7mm machine guns. So you're probably thinking that's very close, and you're correct. That is very close. The only reason I've given the Corsair the point over the Typhoon is because the Corsair, when using it in action, I found the Corsair definitely has a quicker kill time. Also, it doesn't seem to burn through its ammunition as quickly as the Typhoon, which is very damn important in a fighter. You don't want to be burning through your ammo all of the time. So I feel that the Corsair definitely wins in that situation, but I will add the Corsair is only just a bit better than the Typhoon in terms of their weapons. They're very close, and you won't find that much of a difference when you're using the two different aircraft. Obviously they're from different air forces, but when you use them you won't notice a huge difference, but there is a slight difference with the Corsair over the Typhoon. So I feel that the Corsair wins there, just in case you was questioning that. So now I'm going to give you some recommendations on how to use these two aircraft and the things that the stats don't show that are very important to the aircraft. Okay, so here's a few notes about the Typhoon and the Corsair that will really help you in battle if you want to use these aircraft. So start with the Typhoon. Now despite having a top speed of 655 km an hour, it never really seems to reach this unless it's in a dive. For the most part it's got a cruise speed of about 450 km an hour at best. Sometimes I've hit about 500, but it really depends on the angle that you're flying at. And it seems to struggle to pick up speed as it's travelling. That may just be me, but I find that in arcade it just doesn't like to travel at fast speeds. You will find it performs a lot better in historical battles, however. It will be able to pick up speed a lot quicker, and you can really take advantage of the fact that it can pick up top speed quite quickly. But in arcade it doesn't seem to like doing that. Now I will say that installing a new engine improves its performance drastically. I put a new engine in this thing and in an arcade I would be able to reach about 500 kilometers an hour, and it wouldn't take as long to reach that speed as it would with the old engine. So that may be something that you want to look into doing, and it won't take that long to unlock a new engine anyway, so definitely look into doing that. Now earlier I mentioned that it's got a kill time that's very similar to the Corsair. However, if you do want to beat aircraft like the Corsair, then install new ammunition, like incendiary ammo for example, is very good at taking down other aircraft. If you use the one I think it's called Stealth Attack, that was the best one in my opinion, or at least the one I found to be the best, but you decide that one for yourself by obviously playing with the ammunition. Now on the Corsair, it's got a top speed of 670 kilometers an hour as you saw in the stats, but it reaches very high speed all of the time. You can generally reach about 550, sometimes 600 kilometers an hour, like just barely face. You can face slightly downwards of your normal cruising altitude, and instantly you're traveling at very high speed, and you're not exactly in a dive. And it can do this all of the time. So if you're looking to be getting away from enemy aircraft a lot of the time, this is definitely a good aircraft for you to choose. Now it also performs very well in historical battles. I used it yesterday for the first time ever in historical battles and I ended up getting 3 kills. It is very good. So if you haven't really got into historical battles yet, then I definitely recommend using this as your first aircraft. So obviously level up the Americans a bit so you can unlock it, and then start using it in historical battles. It's very noob friendly, and I know a lot of you probably don't like being called noobs, but I'm a historical battles noob, and I use this thing and it just performed very well. And plus if there's aircraft that you think you're going to struggle against, like a Yak 9T or something, then you can pull away from that very quickly, obviously because of its high speed. Now again, if you add a new engine, it will become an amazingly fast aircraft, but it's very fast straight away. It's not like the Typhoon where you have to install the new engine in order to get a better performance. It just performs well straight away. However, like I said, installing a new engine will drastically improve your performance. It also has a great roll rate, and this might not seem that important to you, but for an aircraft that doesn't have a great turn time, the fact that it can roll over quickly is very helpful, because it can roll and then you can start your turn a lot quicker than other aircraft can. Also this helps when you're getting shot at, because you can make yourself a thinner target by rolling on your side, which if you didn't already know that, is a very good way of moving away from enemy aircraft or avoiding gunfire. It doesn't work 100%, but it works to a point. However, if there's an aircraft that's got a very powerful cannon behind you, like a 37mm, don't roll on your side. It just makes it easier for him to shoot your wing. So don't do that. However, the biggest downside with the Corsair, and this is something you don't really find with the Typhoon, is it's extremely weak in terms of its armor, not its armament, which is its weapons, its actual armor. I find that this aircraft will not last very long in battle. It doesn't take many rounds, to take it down. I mean, I went up against an A6M3 earlier, as you just saw, and I had to go and land immediately afterwards. I had too many holes in my wing, and he only got about 2 seconds of burst on me, which isn't very much. Maybe it was about a second, I'm not really sure, but it wasn't much, and I had to land the plane. So yeah, it's quite weak. Whereas with the Typhoon, something you're going to find is that it's not exactly strong, but at the same time it can take quite a lot of damage before going down. That's pretty much the only recommendations I got to make though. So that was it. That's Dogfights. The Corsair wins in this situation, but like I said, there's improvements there that you can add to each aircraft that make them both better. So I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I've been Mustafa. Over and out.